All right. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another one of our franchise partner spotlight calls. For those that haven't joined or seen one of these spotlight calls yet, the purpose of these calls is to give anyone that's interested in learning more about ShelfGenie and our franchise opportunity the chance to hear from some of our different franchise partners in various parts of the country and learn a little bit about their background and their experience since joining ShelfGenie and just have an opportunity to kind of, pick their brain a little bit. So today we're joined by Nick Starkey. Nick is our franchise partner in Omaha, Nebraska. He also owns the Twin Cities and Des Moines, Iowa markets. Nick's been with us since, is that right, Nick, 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
Nick's been with us since 2013, and he's going to share a little bit of his, background prior to joining ShelfGenie with us. Since joining ShelfGenie, Nick's been, very involved in, working with the home office. He's been the president of our Franchise Advisory Council, which is a group of anywhere from 6 to 7 different franchise owners that are very involved with working with the home office and the executive team to kind of guide the direction of the organization going forward. Nick also helps out with some of the installer training, and as you can see on the slide here, has been involved in some various other committees over the years. So Nick is a really good resource, has a lot of knowledge about this business, and I think everyone will enjoy hearing from him today. So with that, Nick, thanks for taking some time to talk with us today. We really appreciate it, and maybe start off just by sharing anything that you think would be helpful for people to kind of know about you, and maybe kind of talk about your background prior to joining ShelfGenie.
Sure. Thanks, Wes. So I guess I started out, so I've been a franchise partner since 2013. Before that, for 3.5 years, I was installer in the Omaha market. At the time, I was a superintendent for a home builder. I did that for probably about 5 years or so. And I think it was 2008, the market kind of crashed. So not a lot of homes being built. They were keeping me on, but it was just doing the same thing every day. So I went out on my own, started doing remodeling, handyman projects, started a business. And one day I got a voicemail from the guy who owned the Omaha market, asked me if I'd be interested in being an installer for him. It's kind of funny it seems like when you own your own business, everyone, all of a sudden you start getting phone calls, people trying to sell you stuff.
Yep.
So I didn't call him back right away. But I remember laying in bed one night thinking, the calendar wasn't totally full at that time. And I thought, well, beggars can't be choosers. I better see at least what it's about. And we hit it off. I went down to training. I got certified, and I installed for, I think, 3.5 years. And then he and his wife were going to have a baby. The wife wanted to move back home, so the business came up for sale, and I bought it. I think a lot of the reasons why I bought it is just, first of all, because I was super familiar with it, and secondly, it was different. That the clients are different than what I had in my handyman business. No one's excited when they need something fixed, right? But I noticed our ShelfGenie clients, I mean, they just love you. So it was an easy transition for me. And that's how I became a franchisee. After that, I bought the Des Moines market probably 1.5 years in, I think. And then had a good opportunity for the Twin Cities. So bought that shortly after. So I think I grew a little faster than most franchisees. I don't know that I was necessarily intending on growing that fast, but it just kind of happened. and
Right.
so that's how I got involved with ShelfGenie.
Yeah. So, and just to clarify, so you started as an installer for the original
Yep.
franchise owner in Omaha and bought the franchise from him, and that's how you got started as an owner.
Yep. Correct.
So, talk a little bit more about the clients. I think that's an interesting point that you bring up. And, for some of the folks listening to this that have spoken with me and looked at some of the information provided, they've heard a little bit about, what we call our noble purpose. And I think that, you kind of hit on something that a lot of people are going to be interested to hear more about, which is, just how much the clients enjoy these solutions that we're able to provide for them. And I think a lot of people that aren't as familiar with ShelfGenie, may have some questions around, is there really a demand for custom glide out shelving? Is it really something that people need, or is it, more of just kind of a nice to have? So what has kind of your experience been
Yeah.
related to that?
Also, when that was one reservation I had when I was buying the business. I'm not a salesman. I never have been. I don't have any sales experience. I didn't go to school. Really, I guess I got to where I was because I showed up on time and I did what I said I was going to do. With our clients, ShelfGenie clients, they really are different. I've owned several businesses before, and sometimes when your phone rings, it's a client. You hate to pick up, but with the ShelfGenie ones, I mean, just super nice people. It really is totally different than any other business I've owned. It kind of sounds corny, but I mean, I've seen clients cry because they're so happy. It's not uncommon. People send me home with hugs and cookies. People are happy to write a check at the end. We, this West, but we keep track of our how satisfied people are, our NPS scores, and different industries do that. And at the top you've got Southwest and Apple. ShelfGenie's up here. That's for a reason. I think a lot of it is just being what I always call a normal person, just showing up and doing your job and being polite, and things go well for you. A lot of our designers that we hire are not necessarily into sales.
Right.
It's just finding the right people. And, in my case, part of it's luck and part of it's hard work. I found people who are better than me, and they can go out and they can sell, make connections. And I've got, a great team, installers and designers. So not a lot of drama in the ShelfGenie world. There's a saying by someone there, Brooke, in the home office that I've always loved. There is no such thing as a shelf emergency.
Right.
And it's true,
Yeah.
as long as you do what you say and communicate, people are easy to get along with.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's not a whole lot of fires to put out in terms of, emergencies that are absolutely critical. And it is refreshing to be involved in a business where, your clients are truly excited, about the services and the solutions that you're providing for them. It's not something that, they always absolutely have to have. So they're kind of, begrudgingly going along with it. It's something that, usually they're proactively reaching out to us and saying, I'd love to have a ShelfGenie designer come out and tell me more about what my options would be and help design something for me. And then, once they do become clients, the anticipation of them waiting to have their solutions installed, they get really, really excited about it. And I think, a lot of the folks that are considering getting into business for themselves, that's something that's important to them. They want to be involved in a business where they can really feel good about what it is that they're doing for the clients. I mean, everyone's looking to get into business to make money for themselves, of course. But in addition to that, I think most people are looking for an opportunity where they can, have a positive impact on their clients and in their community. And I think you've hit on something, really good here, which is with ShelfGenie, we really are able to do that.
Yeah, and that is another good point. A lot of our clients, they have bad backs, bad knees. We're not schluffing boxes here. I mean, we're selling a solution, and that's exactly what it is. Um, and it honestly does help people. Where it's not boxes. It's people who love to be in their kitchen, want to stay in their home longer. It enables them to do it. So super happy people. Another reason you kind of touched on it a little bit is made me think, like I've owned some remodeling businesses, and me and everybody else owns remodeling business. There's a ton of competition out there. You're fighting, you're going in there, trying to undercut the other guy, hoping and praying it works out. With ShelfGenie, like you said, yes, we do a fair amount of marketing, but they're coming to us for the most part. They're interested. We're not doing cold calls or anything like that. We have a high close rate here in Omaha. Our close rates consistently 60-70%.
So just to clarify for anyone that may not fully understand, when you talk about close rate, you mean what?
The amount of jobs that are sold, that we bid on or that we give a quote on.
Right. So the percentage of appointments that you have a designer go in and run with a potential client that actually result in a sale.
Right. And there is a lot of hard work that goes into that, a lot of training and finding the right people. But you talked about, a little bit about competition. That's another nice thing. There is, different forms of competition in some of our markets. There is competition, but, and they're usually cheaper than us, but they don't do what we do. They don't make nearly as nice a product. Their product, our product enables us to create other solutions that theirs doesn't. Everything from the design to communication with the call center to the installers. I mean, it's laid out, and it literally is laid out to where, we're at this point in the job. Now we're at this point, so this is our action item. And as long as you follow that process, everything should be okay. And I'm not saying every single job is a cakewalk. I've gotten my butt kicked by plenty of jobs, but I've never had one beat me either.
Right. Yeah.
And like I say, you do what you say you're going to do, what you're supposed to do, and in the end, everything's fine. There are no shelf emergencies.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned NPS earlier, and for anyone that doesn't know, NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, which has become a pretty common way for businesses to monitor and kind of gauge how satisfied their clients are. And it's essentially a one-question survey where, the question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to refer us to a friend or a family member? And, system-wide, overwhelmingly, we get very positive responses. So not only are our clients telling us, that they love the solutions we've provided to them, they're also saying, we would absolutely recommend this to, a friend or a family member, which I think is really a true way to gauge how satisfied somebody really is.
Yep, I agree.
So that's some really good stuff there. Maybe talk a little bit more, because you've kind of referenced your team and the importance of having, a really good team in place. So, and I know that's something that I really try to stress with candidates as we, work through our discovery process, is the importance of, not only recruiting great people to your team, but then continuing to train and mentor them. So maybe talk a little bit about, number one, kind of the structure of your teams, especially with you having multiple markets that you manage, and then maybe segue that into talking a little bit about some best practices that you've identified over the years when it comes to recruiting, training, and mentoring these designers and installers.
Sure. The structure is, we have designers. Those are really the salespeople. And then we have the installers who go out, they take the measurements, and then they handle the installation. So in Omaha, we've got 3 designers and 4 installers. In Des Moines, we have 1 designer, 2 installers. And in the Twin Cities, we have, 4 designers and 2 installers. I think a lot of it, being a successful franchisee is, don't find the first warm body that comes along. Take your time and do your homework. Reach out, to different groups. Find the right person, and know your numbers. Know what's good and what's acceptable, what's not. And always be looking, always be talking. For more people. I don't know that there is such a thing as too many designers or too many installers. If you got, if you're finding the right people, it should be a good fit for them. You want to find, someone you enjoy working with. Go to work, have fun, and enjoy being there. Enjoy, the people that you work with. Be able to trust them. I don't have trust issues. I don't have to worry. This guy isn't going to show up, or this person's going to try to do something. I don't have those issues. Find my designers, and my installers, they believe in the product, partly because they've seen it. They have it in their house. They've already seen what it can do. You don't want that salesperson who's just off there giving a pitch and moving on to the next one. It doesn't do anybody any good. Really take the time, find the right people. If you got the wrong person, be willing to move on, I guess, before time moves fast. I can tell you people I've held on to for a couple of years, and you look back and it's a couple of years, and you compare numbers and what they could have been making, or what they should have been making, and what they actually made. There's a lot of room for potential there. So find that person that you can trust and that you want to work with. Some places that we've had luck finding people when it comes to designers. NAPL, the National Association of Professional Organizers. Those are good people. They're already used to being in people's homes. They're used to, they love organizing. So this is right up their alley. We've had luck with Mary Kay people. We have some in there. There's different levels of Mary Kay. We kind of go after the ones who are more established, have people working for them, usually because they actually have more free time, even though they're one of the bigger Mary Kay people out there, and they're used to being people in people's homes, and just they're able to talk to people.
Yep.
There's no reason to get all nervous and everything about going into a client's home trying to make that sale. It's not like that. It's totally different. There's a website where we got one of our designers. It's called My Christian Organizers, and she was on there. I don't know where I found that or why, but it's a good thing I did, because she ended up being one of the best in the country. As far as installers, what I do is there's a site called Thumbtack. You can go in and say the job that you're wanting done, and all these guys are pre-screened. I think they have to be registered with the Better Business Bureau, and anyhow, they'll contact you. Then it's a good way to start a conversation.
You
Another
can
thing I like,
also see reviews from other clients they may have done work for, so you can kind of see what
yep, that's
clients' experience has been with them. Yeah.
right. Another easy one to do is just go to the Better Business Bureau site, right? So if you got a contractor who took the time to register his company, he wants a good reputation. He cares about his work and his performance. And from that site, you can narrow your search down to different categories, whether it be handyman or cabinet maker or whatever. Handyman's a good one. And then from there, you can go and visit each person's website and kind of start to do your own research. And then normally what I'll do is I'll shoot out an email and then maybe reach out with a phone call in a couple of days. But it's been several years probably since I hired an installer. So, but those are two real good sites for finding an installer.
Yeah, that's good advice. And, you mentioned a lot of good things there. A couple things I'd like to maybe unpack a little bit more. And one of the things you said earlier was, you're not necessarily looking for designers with, sales experience or necessarily in-home experience. So, when you're recruiting, whether it's for a designer or an installer, are you looking more for a certain skill set, or are you really hiring more on attitude and then, kind of training on the more technical side of what they need to know to do their job?
Yeah, a little bit of both, but mostly, I mean, if I choose to meet you down at the coffee place, you show up on time and you're clean cut, you're nice. I had one guy, he had the same last name as me too. And so I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I wasn't related to him, but I thought this is great. This is a sign from God. I have never had somebody drop so many F-bombs in an interview in my life.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you hired him?
No, no, I didn't.
Good.
You're just looking for someone who is engaging, someone who's comfortable talking. And that's not even me to an extent. I like talking and stuff, but after a couple, 20 minutes, I'm worn out.
Right.
A lot of my designers, they don't get worn out. They'll just keep talking and talking.
Well, hey, we've been going for 23 minutes. Are you okay?
I'm doing all right now.
Let me know if we need to take a break.
But they're just happy people, and you want someone who's organized. You don't want a big mess. Someone who can't control themselves and their workflow. Computer skills, it helps, especially on the designer side.
Right.
Installer side, yeah, it helps, but I mean, quite honestly, I hardly even wrote emails when I joined up. If I can learn it, I think anyone can learn it.
Yeah.
But your installers, yes, you do want to. It'd be nice if you could see work they've done and reviews and know what kind of work they've done. And I've helped out other franchisees too, kind of help screen them, their installers that they're looking at. I don't know. I probably need to find a better way to word it, but I'm looking for normal people. Just I don't need Guy Smiley trying to sell me a car. Somebody's normal and who cares, and that's really all there is to it.
Well, and I think that's, I think it's a good way to look at it. And I mean, you're really looking for people that can relate and develop connections with these, clients. On the design side, technically it's in-home sales, right? But it's very different from what most people think of when they think about in-home sales. It's a very consultative process. And again, these are people that have reached out to us and invited us into their home. And so, designers are really just trying to really uncover what are the frustrations and pain points that resulted in this person reaching out. And then they're helping to problem solve. They're designing a solution that makes the most sense for this client. And if they do that, it's not a hard sell. We're not coming in and really trying to hard close people like, kind of in-home sales has kind of a negative connotation for. And then, with the installers, of course, you need someone that can handle the technical aspect of the work. But in addition to that, you need people that know how to handle themselves when they're in someone's home and be, kind and respectful and develop that same kind of rapport that you're looking for your designers to.
Right.
So it makes sense that you would look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So are most of your designers and installers, number one, are they all, for the most part, 1099 contractors?
Yes, they're all 1099.
And do most of them do ShelfGenie full time, or is ShelfGenie like one of multiple things that they may be involved in for income?
One of multiple things. Like on the installer side, these guys usually have their own business. So when I was installing, I loved it because you got somebody feeding you work. I don't have to go out there and bid the job.
Yep.
I don't have to, do all the paperwork and all that stuff. I can fill up my schedule, and I can set my own schedule, for the most part. So these guys have, they should have their own business already, something to do with construction. You want an installer, you want someone who has construction experience, and on the designer side, they usually have something else going on. They could be a professional organizer. We've got one who's a writer. We've got two who, like I said, have Mary Kay businesses. And it's kind of a fine line, but you want to find that person who's hungry, but who's not starving. You know what I mean?
Right.
They want to make that sale. And maybe it's because they just want to win. They want to be a winner. My designers, I think for the most part, are fairly well off. I'm not saying they're rich or anything like that, but they're not starving. They're probably around 60 years old or so. So I think that helps them interact with our clients, because that's kind of usually where our clients are at. Not all of them. Having said that, I do have two younger designers who do well too, but they are structured. They know how to, show up on time. They're very friendly, easy to start a conversation with.
Yeah.
Normally most of our people have other things going. I have people who they might consider themselves full time, but it's just because they're happy doing this and nothing else. I have one of my main designers here in Omaha. She was organizing for years. She gave it up after doing ShelfGenie. The money was better, and it was a better, experience. Her life improved
Right.
by doing it. So,
and I know there's numerous examples of that same thing, both on the designer and installer side throughout the system, where they started out, having another business or being involved in something else, but over time they kind of, migrated fully over to ShelfGenie.
Yep. Nice thing is, I don't owe anybody anything. I don't owe you this many appointments. I will hand out the appointments as they come in. They're always my appointments. I own them. Another thing, starting off brand new, I'm trying to think how to say this. It's a lot easier to set your expectations where they need to be brand new. Don't be, timid or afraid, or like I said, looking for that warm body, So ShelfGenie, it's great if our designers can self-generate or find their own appointments. It's a slam dunk. It's free money in everybody's pocket. If you set that expectation that, hey, I expect you to self-generate 1 or 2 appointments a month, set that from the get-go, it's a done deal. It's
Yep.
harder when you've been in business for a year. Then you go back and you say, oh yeah, well, I need you to start doing this.
Right.
Uh, so set
Much
the
harder.
expectations where they need to be.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised because like Mary Kay people, that's they've never had an appointment handed to them in their life.
Right.
They're used to going out there and they self-generated their whole career. Those people exist. You just got to find them.
Well, that's right. And that's why I love the strategy of, looking to recruit, professional organizers or the Mary Kay, people, especially ones that have had a lot of success in that, because number one, they already understand what it takes to be successful as a designer with ShelfGenie, but they likely have a pool of clients and a network that they can kind of tap into from their other businesses to do just that, to bring more business to you. And, they can usually earn more that way. And like you said, it's kind of, just additional business for you that's not coming from your marketing budget, right? So it's kind of icing on top.
And the way I do it, and that works for installers too.
Yeah,
Installers are out there remodeling somebody's house. Why not, put some pullouts in there?
absolutely.
And anything that's self-generated, it works so well in my favor. I'll pay them, double the commission.
Yep,
And I'll still make more money.
absolutely.
It's honestly, it's a win-win for everybody. So set that expectation early, and your life will be a lot easier.
Well, I think you make such a good point in general, with setting your expectations high and setting the bar high for whoever you're recruiting on your team, even if you are a brand new franchise owner starting out. And I think, one thing that honestly some of our franchise partners have struggled with is doing that. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that in some people's mind, well, hey, I'm recruiting contractors, right? They're not full-time employees, so maybe I don't have to be quite as selective about who I'm bringing on, and I don't have to necessarily try to create that team culture in my business. And whether they're contractors or W-2 or whatever their kind of official status is, that really shouldn't change, how you're recruiting and how someone should need to prove to you as the business owner why they're going to be an asset to your team. And the owners that are most successful in this business have done a really good job of creating a team culture amongst their contractors, even though they're not, the kind of typical W-2 or full-time employee. So I think that's really good advice to share with, anyone that's thinking about getting into this business.
Yeah, and team culture is everything. Everyone wants to be part of a team. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to make money. And it's a lot easier when you've got when you're working with people that you know and respect.
Yep.
It's a heck of a lot more fun, and it makes your life a lot easier to do. I would say to any new franchisees that would be coming on, when you come on, get to know your other franchisees and make those validation calls. Really, kind of seek out, talk to everybody, but like in every group, there's a group of franchisees who are killing it, and they're killing it for a reason, extra killing it. You know what I mean? And they are more than happy to talk to you, share their information. That's part of the great thing about the franchise system is you can get on our software and you can tell me exactly what my numbers are
Right.
because we share them.
No secret. Yeah.
There's nothing to hide. You see something good I'm doing, call me up and I'll talk to you about it. Find the winners in every category and pick their brains, get to know them, be their friends, and your life will be so much easier. Sometimes at conference I see new people come in and they're shy, and I get it, but sometimes they'll huddle around each other. Get out there, get to know the other people. There's so much experience there, and people are happy to teach you, happy to share best practices.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I think, most, people when they're evaluating a franchise, a big part of what they're looking at, as it should be, is, what type of training and support am I going to get from the home office, and what type of resources am I going to be able to tap into that the franchisor is providing me. And all of those things should be there in a good franchise system. But in addition to that, if you're joining a really strong franchise organization, being able to tap into that kind of peer network of other franchisees that, especially if you're brand new, everyone else has been doing this business longer than you. And you're exactly right, Nick. There's always a bell curve, right? You've always got the top performers, the underperformers, and everyone in between, but really seeking out those people that are performing at a high level and learning from them. And I think, with ShelfGenie, we have a very strong culture amongst our franchise owners where it's a very collaborative and sharing environment where people are willing to help each other out. And I don't know that exists in every franchise system out there.
Yeah. And a lot of times, the difference, the top guys, they just tweak their mind just a little bit. They're operating on a little different level. And you can see it when you talk to them. You can almost feel it. This person's different. And, I've seen franchisees go from being towards the bottom to going towards the top. Saunders is a great one.
Yeah.
He's a franchisee who's been rock star, killing it for years. He wasn't always like that.
Right. Yeah.
I've gotten my butt kicked before, and one of the things I did was I joined some of these committees. When I came on, I was absolutely terrified of public speaking.
Yeah.
Not only mildly terrified, but I'll do it.
Right.
But joining the committees is a great way. In a way, I can. You get to help out the system, but at the same time, why not help implement ideas that you think are good? Learn and you'll build relationships with these guys, with the other franchisees.
Yep.
So in a way, it's kind of selfish too. You can learn and grow personally while doing a good thing for the system.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way to look at it, because you understand, like many of our really most of our franchise partners understand that your local business becomes more valuable the better all of our franchisees do, right? And the more successful the organization and the brand becomes, the more successful you're likely to be in your local markets. And that comes through in the validation calls and the time that you guys spend talking to people that are really trying to evaluate if this is a good fit for them or not. It's partially to help them out, right? Because you were in that spot at one point in time where you were doing the validation calls and trying to make this big decision for yourself. But you're also doing it knowing that, hey, if we can bring really great new franchise partners in that are going to help the brand grow, that's going to help me in my personal business as well.
Well, heck yeah. I love it when you're selling new franchises, and you look at our numbers. The system is always growing, and that's good news for everybody.
Yep.
And that's why we share all of our information. You want everyone to exceed. There's no reason why you wouldn't. It's not like other sales where you got to be top dog or whatever it is.
Right.
You want everyone to be there, and there's no reason why everyone can't. It's just, put in the work and the time and the effort. And then it's actually one of the fairly easier businesses to operate after you've put in the hard work, I think.
So why is that, in your opinion?
I ran businesses into the ground. Just blew them up. I think with ShelfGenie, I surrounded myself with, I wasn't kidding. People were better than me. I can trust them. My phone is not ringing off the hook here. Of course, I've been in business for, 6 years or whatever it is. wasn't always that way.
Sure.
I had to find the right people, and always looking for new events, new things like that. And that doesn't mean I'm done. This is the top. It's not.
Sure.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested anymore.
Right.
But you find the right people, and your life is a lot easier. And it's enjoyable. I've had jobs in the past where you wake up in the morning and you think, oh gosh, I hate Mondays.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's Monday, Saturday, or Sunday. I kind of like Saturday and Sunday a little better, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's fine with me. I don't hate coming into work. I enjoy my work. A lot of it, I got people who I can trust, and my people are pretty damn good. So.
Yeah, maybe speak a little bit to some of the support that you do get from the home office. I think one thing that ShelfGenie does a really good job of is, beyond the initial training and support that a new franchise owner gets to kind of learn the business and get up to speed as quickly as possible, there's really good ongoing support as well. So, a guy like you that's 6 years in and pretty well established, you're not so much looking to the home office to train you anymore and to give you some of that initial type support. So what type of support do you get, today and kind of on an ongoing basis from the home office?
Some of the big ones that come to mind is marketing. So ShelfGenie has a marketing team that you can use. You don't have to. But I do, and I use them for everything I can. And why is because somebody walks in the door, they want to sell me something. I say, sorry, I don't do that, but call this guy. And if you get past him, then maybe we'll talk.
Right.
I don't have, and they're able, to use their buying power to get you a better deal. They're used to negotiating. They're always going to negotiate a better deal than you can. They are going to, charge you a certain percent to do it. But in reality, they're going to negotiate you a better deal anyhow. So I think you're kind of silly not to.
Because it's also freeing up a ton of your time to focus on things that'll have a bigger positive impact on the business than, going back and forth with advertisers and trying to negotiate pricing and all of that.
Have you ever created your own ad, or even like gotten the specs to create an ad? It's crazy.
Yeah.
You never knew there were so many colors and different things in your life. I don't have to do any of that. I just get an email saying, hey, Nick, here's your ad for the Omaha World Herald. What do you think? That looks great. Approved. Done.
Right.
I'm not scheduling it. I'm not doing any of that stuff. It's just done. I go in and I don't, I'm not saying to close your eyes, but, I go in, I meet with them quarterly. We go over our marketing plan. So I always know what my marketing plan is. And then I hand it off to them. And if you have something that's not performing well, they'll bring it up, or, when you have these one-on-ones, you can discuss it. They can go in, try to negotiate you a better deal, or, whether that be price or ad placement or something like that. So they're really good at that. That saves me, I don't even know how much time. I mean, I don't even want to imagine. Saves me a ton of time. The call center is really good. I forget what their numbers are, but they're like shocking. The amount of calls that are answered and how many of those turn into appointments are really good.
So they usually convert anywhere between 75 and 80+% of people that inquire to an actual appointment for a designer to go out to, and that's on the first attempt. And if they don't, get them on the first attempt, then as they do the outbound calls and the follow-up calls, and then are still usually able to convert a pretty good percentage of those. And then, as you mentioned, you have a very strong close rate of these appointments. So, that's one way that you can really make sure your marketing dollars are being capitalized on, is by making sure that the opportunities they create are also being capitalized on.
Yeah. Manufacturing, I know the manufacturing team probably better than most. Really good group of people. If they have a question for me about one of my orders or something, they'll call me. If I need something, I can call them or shoot them an email. Good group of people. I don't think I'm missing anybody. I had Keisha on the call earlier. She's kind of trouble, but other than that, I'd say the home office is in pretty good shape. Got a new CEO about 2 years ago.
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's been huge. A lot of exciting new things happening in ShelfGenie. Not that the other guy was doing bad, but someone new comes in and new things happen.
Well, and Andy's been on one of these calls before, and so some people may know he's a franchisee with ShelfGenie himself and has been for a very long time. So I think that just gives him a whole nother perspective to look at it for, and it really keeps good, strong alignment between what the home office is focused on and what the franchisees are focused on, and keeping everyone's interests aligned.
Yeah, you got the CEO who is a franchisee. Wes, you're what, director of
franchise development?
Yeah, you're a franchisee. I mean, you weren't always franchisee, but I think that says a lot. You're able to sell something that you own.
Yeah.
So, home office, good group of people. I haven't had any issues with them.
Well, and Nick, and some listening in may know too, I've worked with other franchisors, prior to ShelfGenie, and part of the reason my wife and I decided to become franchisees after really, getting to know the company and learning the model was, a lot of it had to do with all of the support we get from the home office. I've seen firsthand how other franchisees and other systems don't get, in many cases, nearly the extent of the support that we're able to provide. And I think that that's key because, a lot of people are looking to get into a franchise because it is, usually a proven system and there's kind of a blueprint to success. And a lot of franchisors, most franchisors do a really good job of providing that kind of initial support. But, I know a lot of franchisees that are 3, 4, 5, 6 years into it. And then at that point, they don't feel like they get a whole lot from their franchisor yet. They're still paying the royalties. They're still paying, some of these fees that cut into their margins, but they don't feel like they're really getting much in return for that. And, with ShelfGenie, I think I could speak for most of the franchise partners where that's not the case. That's not how we feel. I know that, the money that I pay in royalties and to the business support center, I mean, it would cost me a heck of a lot more to go out and hire someone to do what the business support center does for us, and to go out and hire people that do all of the other things that the home office provides in terms of support. So that was key for us, was really seeing that, and then also me kind of knowing what else was out there. Not to say that other franchisors don't provide good support. There are many that do. But so that was important for us.
Yep, I agree. I always feel funny kind of doing these videos. Obviously I'm not saying everything is rose-colored glasses, but you put in the work. You get what you get. You get what you tolerate, and you get what you put into it. I have if you look at my markets, I got Omaha, Twin Cities, Des Moines. Well, I live in Omaha. Omaha does really well. Some of my other markets, I haven't put in as much work, and the numbers show. Yeah. So you get what you put into it.
Well, that's a really good point. And of course, any business comes with its fair share of challenges, and there are, hard days and there are great days. ShelfGenie is no different. And so, kind of along that line, and I know we're coming up on the 3 o'clock mark here, and I told you we try to keep this at no longer than an hour. So we'll kind of wrap up soon. So kind of on that note, what are maybe a couple pieces of advice that you would give to anyone that's, considering, number one, getting into business for themselves, and number two, really considering ShelfGenie as a business to get involved in?
Just be organized. Set some kind of a schedule or structure in your life to where, maybe on one day a week for this many hours, you're out there trying to make new connections. Just don't get in the habit of, everything's running great, I'm just going to sit back on my backside and watch it all happen. Get yourself involved with your team. Learn ShelfGenie. A lot of franchisees, I'm always surprised. I would say they don't know how to work a screwdriver. Learn how to do it.
You taught me how to do it.
You can, you can.
And if I can learn, anybody can learn, I promise you.
But you're better off for learning because now you know why this does this. And, it helps you on the design side. It helps you communicate with your installers. Learn how your business operates, learn the numbers, develop those contacts, especially with other franchisees, and, just be involved with your business. I'm year 6, so I look at my schedule, and I'm always, one of the questions that you might ask me is what's the average day like in a ShelfGenie franchisee life? I'm terrified of that question. I don't know what the answer is.
Right.
I look at my schedule. My schedule is full. When I look back last week, I didn't have so much, but I was always doing stuff. I like to fill up my schedule for next week. So it's always forcing me to get out there, be active, get stuff done, and take care of business, and your life's a lot easier for it.
Well, and look, I don't think that's a bad way to answer the question. I mean, it kind of shows that every day is a little bit different, right? You're not doing the exact same thing, and you're not, tied to an office or a retail location 5 to 7 days a week. And, you do have a little more flexibility, and you're exactly right. With flexibility, you need to make sure you're really organized and structured so that you're not just kind of, sitting back, but you're, proactively getting out there and working on things that are going to, lead to continued growth in your business. But, I think a lot of people that are considering getting into business ownership, they are looking for something that's, not going to be so monotonous day in and day out. And they're looking for something that's going to, keep them engaged and that they can really enjoy doing. And, I think most of our franchise partners would say that they've been able to find that with ShelfGenie.
Yeah, one thing I've always been proud of is, so my daughter's 14. I picked her up and I dropped her off to school every day.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Having said that, though, there's weekends that I worked or evenings and stuff, but my schedule is flexible.
That's right.
And, especially when you're planning out your schedule, stay active, get that stuff done when you're supposed to, and you can go home and you can turn off your brain for the most part.
Yeah.
I've had businesses where you can't turn off your brain. ShelfGenie it's not too bad as long as you're staying active and staying on top of it.
There are no shelving emergencies, right?
That's right.
Awesome, man. Well, that's good stuff. Really good insight and really good advice. And before I let you go, I did just get a text message. Is it your birthday today?
It is my birthday.
Well, happy birthday, man. Thanks for joining us on your birthday. Keisha,
happy birthday!
Thanks, Keisha.
Yeah, Kelly just texted me and said it's your birthday. I don't know how she knows that, but happy birthday, man. Hope 28's
a Facebook friends. Me and you, I probably rejected that one.
Probably. I'll have to go back and resend it. But hey, happy 28th birthday, man. I hope it's a good year for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again, man. This has been really good. I know anyone that listens into this is going to, really benefit from the insight that you've provided. And one last question that I've asked everyone that comes on. If you are a reader, what book are you reading right now?
I'm reading Babe Ruth book. It's about his life, obviously.
Yeah.
I like to read. I usually read every night for about 20 minutes or so. So
Yeah.
Babe Ruth.
Awesome. Let me know how it is.
All right.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.